Okay, so we are now going to learn how are we going to create and remove elements from the DOM. Okay, so the objectives we have here, understand how to dynamically generate and remove HTML elements using JavaScript. So the main usage of creating and removing elements with JavaScript is actually to dynamically generate. Okay, so this is when we are going to create dynamic pages. Okay, so we could be creating and removing HTML documents, and we are going to apply methods like, okay, we have here create element, append child, remove child, and remove. Okay, so we have here on how to create an element. So we have the command, we have create element. Okay, then we have how are we going to append the created element with the create element method into our DOM. So we have here the name of the container element, then the method append child. Okay, then to remove, so we have here remove, and to remove a child, by the way, remove meaning it is going to remove the element. Okay, so it is going to remove the specific element, while remove child is that it is going to remove the element or the child within the parent. Okay, so there are two elements that are involved here. We have the parent and the child. Okay, so the remove child method is a method of the parent. And we are going to specify here the ID of or the element that belongs to this certain parent. Okay, so first is we are going to have, okay, so I'm going to have here a guest book. Okay, so let us say we have welcome to our world, then a guest book, then um, the user is going to input his name and a comment. And when the user is going to click on submit, it is going to display here the name and the comment of the user. Okay, so here we are going to dynamically create elements. Okay, so what we're going to do here. Okay, so we have here now, we have the header, by the way, the welcome to my world. Then we have here the guest book. We have here the word guest book. And we have the input element for the name and the comment. Okay, so take note of the ID for the name and the comment. Then we have the button. We have here button submit. Okay, so we have the ID submit. And it belongs, by the way, the header is we have here the header div. So I have created here a div for the header. Then another div for the main, or actually this one here, created another div for where the user can input the name and the comment, and another div for the comments. Okay, so therefore there is actually a div, okay, here. Okay, just below our submit buttons. If we are going to look at our elements here, so we have the main div, and we have here our comments div. So we have here three divs in our page. Okay, in which again we are going to generate or create dynamically our uh, comment on the comments div. And by the way, the technique here is actually inside our comments div, we are going to create a separate div for each of the comments. Okay, so every time the user is going to click on submit, we are going to create a div for that comment. Okay, so first, and take note here, um, the event is actually click on the submit button. Okay, so first into our index. Okay, so I'm going to create Okay. Um, button submit is equal to that get element by ID. Then we have here we're going to get button submit. Okay. So we have button submit. Okay, so we created here a reference to our button submit. It is because we are going to create here uh, an event listener. Button submit that add event listener. Then on the event, click. Okay. Then the fat arrow function. Okay. So when the user clicks on the button submit step here, so what we're going to do is to first get the name and the comment inputted by the user. Okay, so I have here const just going to have the name is equal to document that get element by ID, then ID is name, and the other ID is we have comment. Okay, so we have here name dot value. Then another variable for the comment dot value. Okay. Then okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to create a separate function. Okay. Const. I'm going to say odd comment. Okay. So I have created here a function that is going to add the comment, okay, into our div, okay, in our comments div. And what we need here is actually we need a name and the comment, okay? So in which from here, so we are going to pass the value of the name and the comment here. So I'm going to call this function here. So we have add comment, then passing now the values of the name and the comment we have extracted from these elements. Okay. Then here, so take note that we are going to append, where it is. Okay, we are going to append the comment into our comments div. Okay, so therefore, the very first thing that we're going to do here is to create a reference of the comments div. That get element by ID, then comments div. Okay, so next is we are then going to create a div for this comment. Okay, so we are now going to dynamically create a div wherein we are going to as the container for the name and the comment of the user. Okay, so I'm just going to call it entry. Okay, comments entry is equal to document that we have here create element. Okay, and the element that we're going to create is actually a div. Okay, so we have now created a div into our for our comment. Okay, then we are going to append the name and the comment into our div. And one way to do this one is I'm just going to have here actually um, I'm going to use here an inner HTML. Okay. So first is I'm going to create, okay, my HTML is equal to, now instead that I'm going to use the concatenator, I'm going to use here a backtick. Okay. So backtick means this is actually uh, the key before one into our keyboard. Okay. So that we could create here a multi-line string. Okay. So this is actually a string. Okay, so that I could use here string interpolation. Okay, so first I'm going to have the name. I'm going to bold. I'm just going to have here the format would be a strong. Okay, bold. Then string interpolation. We have here the name. Okay, so take note of dollar and the curly braces, meaning instead of using now the plus sign or to concatenate, I'm just going to use here the symbol dollar and we have here the curly braces, meaning string interpolation. Then we have here colon, then the comment. So by the way, I'm going to slash strong so that the name is bold, then regular font for or the font weight for the comment would be the normal. Okay, and we have here the comment. Okay, then after that, entry dot okay inner HTML. Okay, so if ever I'm going to have here inner text, it is going to display the word or the tag strong. Okay, but take note here, since we have an HTML tag or an element into our string, so therefore we are going to use inner HTML. Okay, so inner HTML then is equal to, I'm just going to have here the my HTML. Okay, so what I have done so far is that I have created a div. I'm just going to call it entry div. Okay, entry or comment div. Oh no, we have here now comments for all comments. Okay, I'm just going to call it entry div. Okay, then another div, that's our uh, eh, the comments. Then we have dynamically created a div for individual comment, created an HTML for the content of that div. Then I have assigned as the inner HTML for this div. Okay, this one here, the name and the comment. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do then is we are going to add this entry div into our comments div. So here the parent, no, okay, yes, the parent comments div, okay, dot append child, then the entry div. Okay, okay, so let us try. First, I'm going to comment here, add comments div. Save. Okay. Uh, Donald. Then hello there. Okay. Then click on submit. So you can see it there. Donald Trump for the name and hello there. Now, if we are going to look at now our elements here, so into our comments div, so we have now a div. Okay? So we have there strong, then hello there. Okay? So, for example, I'm going to create another one, Kamala. Then, uh, this is great. Okay. So, take note here. Okay. So when I click on submit, it adds another comment here. And as you could see onto our elements here, we have now added another div. Okay. So we have now for Donald Trump and for Kamala Harris. So we have now two divs, okay, into our comments div, in which originally, as you can see here, into our HTML, our div, comments div, is an empty div. So what we have created is we have dynamically created those elements. Okay. So next is, how about if ever that I want, okay, I'm going to have here a button. Okay, I'm going to put a button here so that when I click on that button, this comment will be removed. Okay. I'm just going to modify actually. There are many ways how to do that, but I'm just going to modify this one here. So I'm going to add a button. Okay. Then I'm going to have, okay, remove slash button. Save. Kamala. Submit. So as you can see, we have here now a button. Okay, so when I'm going to click on remove, okay, it has no effect as of now because we have not specified uh, what command it is going to execute when this one here is clicked. Okay, so click again. So we have here now. So one button for each of the uh, the comments. And as you could see here again, these buttons belongs to each of the divs here. Okay, so this button belongs to this div, another button belongs to this div. Okay, so if ever I'm going to add another one, so we have here another div with the text and the button. Okay, so how are we going to remove uh, this messages? Okay, so what I want you to take note here is we have here the entry div. Okay, so since these divs are added into our comments div, every time that we are going to click on the add button or the submit button, so we are going to remove here actually the whole div. Okay, so how are we going to remove the div? Okay, so first is we're going to create here a reference. Okay, so I'm not going to have here the ID. I'm just going to create here a class. Okay, is equal to, I'm just going to call it remove button. Okay, so that here I'm going to have entry div. Okay, and as I have said a while ago, this button here belong is a child. Actually, it is a child of the entry div. Okay, so then I have created here a class. Okay, for this button, so that how are we going to create a reference for this button? So take note from within. Okay, from within the entry div, that I'm going to have the query selector. Okay? So query selector, it is going to return the first element that is descendant of a node that matches the selector. Okay? So I have created here a class. This now our selector. So if I have more than one remove button into this entry div, it is going to return just the first element. Okay, so in our case, we have a single element with this class, so therefore it is going to return this button. Okay, so take note, aside from get element by ID, so we could have here a query selector. Okay, so I'm just going to call it, I'm going to have it, okay, remove button, remove button. Okay, remove button dot add event listener. What event? So I have here click. Okay, so that when it is going to be click, okay, so I'm going to remove, okay, from the comments div, okay, going back to our severe out how to remove parent dot remove child, then the entry or the child, okay, so comments this one here. Why? Because the entry div is inside this one here. Comments div dot remove child, then we have the entry div. Okay, so let us try. Save. Okay, submit. Uh, okay, so I'm going to remove Kamala. So I have two divs there. So I click on remove here. Oops. Wait. Ah, we have now null. Okay, so cannot read properties of null into our odd event listener on line 24. Okay, so I have an error. So we have here entry div is null. Oh, I forgot the dot. Okay, save. Let's try again. Donald. Then we have, okay. I click on Donald. So as you can see, it has been removed. Okay, I'm going to add Donald again. Submit. So we have now two divs here. I can actually add another one. So we have Bitok. Okay, so you know three divs. So I'm going to remove Donald. So I'm going to click on remove here. So as you can see, we have it has been removed here, and as you can see into our DOM, so we have now only two divs left for comments div. Okay, so that's how are we going to remove. Okay, that's how to remove a child. Well, how about if ever that I'm going to remove uh so we have there, let us try remove element dot remove. So I'm just going to have here. So another one is entry div dot remove. I guess this is going to remove itself. Okay, so save, pitok, submit, remove. Okay, so either parent dot remove child, then the name of or the object for our child element, or the child itself or the element itself, then dot remove. So it is going to remove itself from the parent. Okay. So create append child, then we have to remove and remove child. So this is how are we going to dynamically create elements and also create and remove elements from the DOM. Okay. So again, okay, so we have here create element. So I've created here. Then we have added or we have created here an HTML for that element. Then we have assigned that HTML as inner HTML for that. Then we have added this one here through append child into our this is now our parent and this is now our child. Okay. So on our next video, I'm going to show you how are we going to create styles, okay, with JavaScript.